Hello everyone. Today I want to explore one of the most fundamental questions about human health and weight management with you. That question is, how should we eat? Until now, we have spent countless hours researching and discussing what to eat, how much to eat, and when to eat. But surprisingly, we have paid relatively little attention to the question of what order we should eat our food in. However, recent research findings are revealing shocking facts to us. Even when eating the exact same food, with the exact same calories, at the exact same time, our body's metabolic response changes dramatically, depending on the order in which we eat that food. This is not just a theoretical discovery. The latest clinical studies, published in 2024, clearly show the impact of meal sequence on blood sugar control, insulin response, and ultimately weight management. Today, I want to introduce you to the concept of eating in nature's order. This is a revolutionary eating method that respects the physiological mechanisms that we humans have evolved over millions of years, and is based on the latest research findings revealed by modern science. This method can bring amazing health benefits simply by changing the order in which we eat food, without complex calorie calculations or extreme dietary restrictions. To understand the human digestive system, we must first look at how we have evolved. The Homo sapiens that we know today appeared about 300,000 years ago, and agriculture began only 10,000 years ago. In other words, we spent more than 97% of human history living as hunter-gatherers. If we analyze the eating patterns of this hunter-gatherer era in detail, we can discover interesting facts. Our ancestors followed a special order when obtaining food. First, they gathered easily obtainable plant foods, that is, leafy vegetables, roots, and fruits. Then, they hunted animals for protein and consumed fatty foods such as nuts. Finally, they ate foods high in sugar such as honey and fruits. Now, this is the part you're most curious about. Why is order so important? Can such amazing effects really occur just by changing the order of eating food? Actually, this looks like magic, but behind it are very scientific and logical reasons. From now on, let's dig into the amazing changes that happen inside our bodies, one by one. Everyone, eating vegetables first is not just about filling your stomach. This is like installing a smart protective shield in our stomach. The dietary fibers in vegetables, pectin, cellulose, hemicellulose. What happens when these guys meet water? They form a sticky, protective barrier like jelly. Do you know how smart this protective barrier is? It automatically controls the absorption speed of food that comes in later. Especially, it slows down the speed at which sugar is absorbed into the bloodstream. Why is this important? It means it prevents rapid blood sugar spikes. It's like putting a speed limit on a highway. What's even more amazing is that these dietary fibers also regulate digestive enzymes. They appropriately control the activity of alpha amylase, a carbohydrate breaking enzyme, preventing rapid blood sugar rises. Isn't this just like a car's brake system? Now, it's protein's turn. When you eat protein second, something really amazing happens in our small intestine. Hormones called GLP-1 and GIP start to be secreted. These two hormones are really like smart managers in our body. Do you know what GLP-1 does? This guy is really smart. It promotes insulin secretion only when blood sugar is high, and at the same time suppresses glucagon hormone that raises blood sugar. It also controls the speed at which the stomach empties food, maintaining satiety for a long time. This is exactly the same principle as GLP-1 receptor agonists, currently used as diabetes medications. GIP works in another area. It increases insulin sensitivity in fat tissue and helps fat cells store fat well. You might think, wait, is fat storage good? But actually, it prevents fat from being incorrectly accumulated in muscles or liver, playing a role in improving insulin resistance. Finally, it's carbohydrates' turn. But now the situation is completely different. The dietary fiber protective barrier is already installed, and incretin hormones are on standby. Even when carbohydrates come in, rapid blood sugar spikes don't happen. How can we compare this situation? It's like an airplane landing safely on a runway. The control tower, dietary fiber, ground control, incretin hormones, and runway safety facilities, stomach emptying speed control, are all ready, so it can land safely. All these systems work together to prevent blood sugar spikes. We really can't help but admire the sophistication of our body. Here's another interesting fact. Our body is not the same 24 hours a day. Hormone secretion and metabolic state change at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is called circadian rhythm, and it's closely related to meal sequence. What about in the morning? Insulin resistance naturally increases due to the influence of cortisol and growth hormone. This is our body's natural adaptation to receive energy supply after fasting overnight. But if you eat carbohydrates first in this state, blood sugar can rise even more rapidly. What about in the evening? Insulin sensitivity decreases and metabolic rate slows down. Therefore, meal sequence becomes even more important at dinner. Eating vegetables and protein first to maximize insulin sensitivity, then consuming carbohydrates helps with blood sugar control throughout the night. What if we combine the trendy intermittent fasting, especially OMAD, with meal sequence? We can see truly amazing synergy effects. After fasting for more than 16 hours, liver glycogen storage is almost depleted, and insulin sensitivity reaches its peak. What happens if you eat carbohydrates first in this state? Blood sugar rises rapidly, and massive insulin is secreted, potentially promoting fat synthesis. But if you eat vegetables first, dietary fiber moderates rapid changes, and protein secretes incretin hormones to help control blood sugar. This maintains all the benefits of fasting while preventing rapid metabolic changes after eating. There are 100 trillion microorganisms living in our gut. These friends also show completely different reactions depending on meal sequence. Isn't this really amazing? When you eat dietary fiber first, beneficial microorganisms, good bacteria like bifidobacterium and lactobacillus, ferment it to produce short-chain fatty acids. Especially butyric acid and propionic acid make the gut barrier healthy and reduce inflammation. That's not all. These short-chain fatty acids also promote GLP-1 secretion. This means when you eat dietary fiber first, both direct effects on our body and indirect effects through gut microorganisms happen simultaneously. Isn't this perfect synergy? The research results published in Diabetes Care in 2024 were really amazing. When meal sequence control was applied to type 2 diabetes patients, blood sugar control time was dramatically improved. In the group that ate carbohydrates last, time in target range on continuous glucose monitoring significantly increased. What's even more surprising is that this effect appeared independently of drug treatment. This means you can see additional improvement effects just by adding meal sequence control to existing treatment. Metabolic syndrome is a condition where abdominal obesity, insulin resistance, dyslipidemia, and high blood pressure appear together. Meal sequence control can improve all these problems simultaneously. Eating vegetables first increases satiety, reducing total calorie intake. Blood sugar control improves, reducing insulin resistance, which in turn leads to improved blood pressure and blood lipid levels. This is truly a 4-in-1 effect. One of the most important things in dieting is sustainability, right? The biggest advantage of meal sequence control is exactly this. Without extreme dietary restrictions, food intake naturally decreases and body fat reduces. Eating vegetables first increases not only physical satiety, but also hormonal satiety like GLP-1. You naturally eat less without forcing yourself to endure. Also, as insulin levels stabilize, fat breakdown is promoted and fat synthesis is suppressed. This is truly a perfect weight loss system. Now, let's get practical. The basic principle is simple. Vegetables, then protein, then fat, then carbohydrates. But here's an important tip. It's good to take time between each stage. After eating vegetables for 5 to 10 minutes, chewing thoroughly, then eat protein. Then, after about 5 minutes, consume carbohydrates. This is ideal. This way, you can secure time for each nutrient to cause appropriate reactions in our body. If you eat everything too quickly, the effective meal sequence can be reduced. It's important to eat slowly and consciously. Everyone is different, right? If you're a diabetic patient, it's good to increase the proportion of vegetables and delay carbohydrate intake more. If you're an athlete, after exercise, you can reduce the interval between protein and carbohydrate intake for muscle recovery. People with weak digestion should cook vegetables thoroughly, and children in their growth period should adjust the amount of each stage considering overall nutritional balance. Ultimately, the key is to maintain basic principles, but apply them flexibly according to individual circumstances. You can apply this principle when eating out or at company dinners too. At Korean restaurants, eat side dishes first, then soup, and finally rice. At Western restaurants, eat salad or soup first, then the meat or fish from the main course, and finally pasta or bread. At buffets, it's even easier. Just naturally start from the salad bar, then main dishes, and finally carbohydrates, in that order. If you just pay conscious attention, you can apply this anywhere. Isn't this amazing? Our body has created such a sophisticated system through millions of years of evolution. Just by changing the order of eating food, such tremendous changes occur. Now you too can use this wisdom of nature to live a healthier life.